Hey guys, moving straight on to the next conversion kit overview, which FFG unboxed last night, and we're moving on to the Galactic Empire this time. So I'll show you everything that I managed to screenshot from the Twitch feed, and it starts off with one of the bombers, one of the TIE bombers. It is Deathfire, the unflinching diehard, comes in at Initiative 2, and the bombers come with a white focus, a white target lock, a white barrel roll, which can chain into a red target lock, and they can also do a red reload. Health, agility, and attack is the same as first edition, and all of the TIE bombers come with the ship ability Nimble Bomber. If you would drop a device using the straight template, straight 1 template, you may use a bank template of the same speed instead, which is interesting. It gives the TIE bombers for the Empire a little bit of a difference between all the other ships in the game that can drop bombs. And then Deathfire himself has the ability, after you are destroyed, before you are removed, you may perform an attack and drop or launch one device. So that means when his hull hits 0 and he's going to blow up, he can shoot something with either his primary weapon or with a torpedo or missile or whatever kind of slots these bombers are going to have now, and also drop a bomb behind him as well, which also blows up when he dies. So he could literally be used as like a kamikaze. Shove him straight in, he gets killed, and then he hopefully blows something up with a lot of dice. Next up, we've got a new co-pilot. It is Sienna Ree. If I pronounced that wrong, I apologise. But it's a new character for the game from one of the old books or video games. I'm not sure myself. I don't recognise her personally. But it's a new character anyway, which is always good. And she reads, after performing a coordinate action, if the ship you coordinated performed a barrel or boost action, it may gain 1 stress token to rotate 90 degrees. Let's just think about that for a second. So a ship with, say, a white or green hard one could then do a boost, and then also do another hard one if she is on board, which basically does like a tiny little circle in the middle of the board, almost a full circle, which is interesting to say the least. Then we get to have a look straight away at Darth Vader as the crew card. Comes with 1 force point, so the ship that he goes on gains an extra force token. At the start of the engagement phase, you may choose 1 ship in your firing arc at range 0 to 2 and spend 1 force token. If you do, that ship suffers 1 damage unless it chooses to remove 1 green token. So Darth Vader is no longer dealing a crit and doing 2 damage to the ship he's on. He does 1 normal damage, and the opponent can choose to remove 1 of its green defense tokens if it doesn't want to suffer damage. So that's good in 2 ways. You either end up damaging them, whittling them down more, or they lose some defensive capability. Now, I'm not sure about this because there is an interaction in first edition. I won't explain to it now, it'll take me too long. But if they have no tokens, green tokens, can they choose to remove 0? Comment below if you know how it might work in second edition. It might be the same, it might not. If they don't have the green token, perhaps they just have a damage forced through. Then straight up next, we've got Emperor Palpatine, still taking up 2 crew spots. He has 1 force point. While another friendly ship defends or performs an attack, you may spend 1 force token to modify 1 of its dice as though that ship had spent 1 force token. So Emperor Palpatine can no longer modify the dice for the ship that he's on. It has to be a different friendly ship. And he basically gives them the force token ability from far away. So he's still good, he still basically does the same thing, but is slightly more limited. Next up, we've got a standard TIE Fighter Academy Pilot Initiative 1. The dial for the TIE Fighter, as I said in the Rebels conversion kit unboxing overview, the dial is relatively the same, and the health and the actions are the same. Next up, we've got a TIE Advanced, the Storm Squadron Ace at Initiative 3. The dial there, as you can see, has gained a 3 Talon roll. I missed it on the Rebels conversion kit, but the T65 does also now have a Talon roll as well with the 3 hard. So the TIE Advanced dial and the X-wing dial is they're similar to each other. I believe just the TIE Advanced has more blue maneuvers. Also, the TIE Advanced has the 1 forward white maneuver now, which it didn't in first edition. Actions wise, the TIE Advanced has focus, which it can chain into a red barrel roll, white target lock, white barrel roll. Health is the same from the looks of it. Yep, I think that's the same. And then on the card, you can see there, advanced targeting computer. While you perform a primary attack against a defender, you have locked. Roll 1 additional attack dice and change 1 hit result to a crit result. So that's it. The advanced targeting computer is chained to the all TIE advanced cards now. Then next up, we've got the other TIE advanced, which is the V1. 2 cards here to show you. You've got the Baron of the Empire, which is Initiative 3, and the Inquisitor, not the Grand Inquisitor, just the generic Inquisitor. So as you can see there, that's the generic pilot that comes with a Force token that's unique to this ship and the Empire. For the moment, we don't know if First Order might reveal something different in Wave 2, but that's miles away, so I won't start talking about that. So the TIE Advanced V1 comes with 2 attack, 3 agility, 2 hull, 2 shields, which is the same as first edition, and the actions white focus, white evade, white target lock, and then it can do a white barrel roll chained into a red focus, or a white boost chained into a red focus. Dial, it's got red Talon roll hard 2s there, which is new. Otherwise, I think the dial is pretty much the same. Yeah, pretty much the same. Then we've got another example of a TIE bomber here. It's the Scimitar Squadron pilot. Again, you can see there it's got a nimble bomber. That's about it. There's nothing new on that card. Then we've got, moving on to the TIE Interceptor, Initiative 4, Saber Squadron Ace. 3 attack, 3 agility, 3 hull, same as first edition. Actions, white focus, white evade, white barrel roll, white boost. And then as you can see, the Interceptor comes with auto thrusters stapled to all the pilot cards now. And auto thrusters now states, after you perform an action, you may perform a red barrel roll or boost action, which means all interceptors can now do a focus and chain it into a barrel or boost, do an evade, chain it into a barrel or boost, do a barrel roll into a boost, or a boost into a barrel roll. So they're still very, very agile. Dial there, I think it's pretty much the same, apart from it's got some 3 Segnos loops there. Then we get to have a look at Sun to Fel, Initiative 6, the highest initiative in the game. Again, all the same actions, auto thrusters, and then Sunta's ability has changed to, at the start of the engagement phase, if there is an enemy in your bullseye arc, gain 1 focus token. So instead of it being based on Sun to Fel getting stressed, it's now based on getting his bullseye arc to point at an enemy, and then he gets that extra focus token. So he can still token stack, but it won't be as bad. So say you move him, you do a focus, and you chain it with the auto thrusters ship ability there into a barrel roll or a boost to get the bullseye arc on target, and then you get another focus token on top of that, so you'll end up with 2 focus tokens, or it'll be 1 evade and 1 focus, etc. Moving on to a TIE Striker, we've got the Planetary Sentinel here. Initiative 1, 3 attack, 2 agility, 4 hull, that's the same as first edition. You can see it's got a 1 K-turn there and a 2 Segnos loop. It definitely didn't have the 1 K-turn before, so that's an interesting little short maneuver there. And the ship comes with the ship ability, Adaptive Ailerons. Before you reveal your dial, if you're not stressed, you must execute a white 1 bank or 1 forward maneuver. So Adaptive Ailerons is just on all the pilot cards now. Next up, we've got a Lambda Shuttle Omicron Group pilot. You can now see that the dial is exactly the same. It's still the worst dial in the game. Primary attack value of 3, And then you can see there, rear arc attack value of 2. So the shuttle finally has a rear arc, as it should. So those cannons that you can see on the model are actually some use. 1 agility, 6 hull, 4 shields. White focus, white reinforce, so the shuttle now has reinforce. It can also do a white coordinate, so support, and also a red jam, so it can jam the enemy, also a support action there. You can see the dial there as well, the base there with the rear arc. Another new co-pilot, Admiral Sloan. After another friendly ship at range 0 to 3 defends, if it is destroyed, the attacker gains 2 stress tokens. While a friendly ship at range 0 to 3 performs an attack against a stressed ship, it may re-roll 1 attack die. So she can stress other ships, and then the ship that she is, all friendly ships at range 0 to 3, including the ship that she's on, can basically have Predator because they're stressed. Another co-pilot, Minister Tua. Again, I don't know if I pronounced that right. I'm unfamiliar with Rebels. I've yet to see the 4th season. At the start of the engagement phase, if you are damaged, you may perform a red reinforce action. That's pretty cool because it basically means that a ship that has a crew slot, when it becomes damaged, i.e. lost some hull, it gains the ability to reinforce. It's red, so you'll become stressed, but you can defend yourself more, so that's interesting. Next up, we've got a TIE Defender. TIE Defender Onyx Squadron Ace comes in at Initiative 4. It's got a whole array of actions there: Focus, Evade, Target Lock, Barrel Roll, and Boost. And then it comes with the ship ability Full Throttle, which is basically the title card from 1st edition. Is it called X7? After you fully execute a speed 3 to 5 maneuver, you may perform an evade action. So the defender can still have a stack of green tokens there. Dial, I believe, has changed a bit, but off the top of my head, I have no idea what has changed. 2k turn that's red, that is new. Still got the white 4k turn there. Now, just to say as well, the defenders will have gone far up in price, points-wise. Tournament lists will be 200 points now because everything has been spread across the board points-wise, and they'll be able to change things more easily. And at a minimum, the lowest initiative defender will be at least 67 points, so you'll only ever be able to field a maximum of 2 defenders. The stat bar there, same as 1st edition, apart from it's got 4 shields now instead of 3. So it will be fairly costed. It'll still be like one of the strongest ships the Empire has, but you won't be facing 3 of them at a time. They will be super expensive, and don't forget everything else has been buffed as well. The E-Wing, for example, if you've watched my previous video, that's been buffed a heck of a lot, and it's basically now matching the Defender more in terms of rivalry. Next up, we've got the TIE Punisher, almost forgot the word there, Cutlass Squadron Pilot, Initiative 2. The Punisher now comes with a white focus, a white target lock, a red barrel roll, a white boost which can be chained into a red target lock, and a white reload action. Stat bar, 2 attack, 1 agility, 6 hull and 3 shields. I believe that's pretty similar to before. Dial, it now has the red full stop maneuver, and did it have a 4k turn before? I think it did. I think it definitely did, because I remember taking it to a tournament once and there's someone being shocked that it actually has a K turn. But it has gained a 0 stop there, so that's interesting. And it's also been moved up to a medium base, so it will fly very slightly differently than before. Then we can have a look at Death Rain, again on the Punisher. Death Rain, Dexterous Bombardier. After you drop or launch a device, you may perform an action. So it's Death Rain's turn to move. He shoots out a bomb or drops one behind him, and then can do a target lock or a focus, then move, and then get another action in the action phase. So that's interesting. Then we've got the aggressor here, the TIE aggressor. Onyx Squadron Scout, Initiative 3, white focus, white target lock, white barrel roll, which can be chained into an evade. 2 attack, 2 agility, 4 hull, 1 shield. Dial, I don't believe has changed much. No, I don't recognise any extra manoeuvres on there. Then we get to have a look at a turret just to the left. The dorsal turret it's literally just a turret that has an attack value of 2 that hits at range 1 to 2. Next up we have one of my local players' favourite ships, the Decimator, Initiative 2, Patrol Leader. The actions are now focus, white focus, white target lock, white reinforce, so the Decimator now has reinforce, so you can tank on your tank. It has the white rotation of the arcs and a red coordinate action, so it can actually do a bit of supporting. 3 attack, 0 agility, 12 hull, 4 shields, so I don't think that stat line's changed. Example of a co-pilot that could be attached to it, which is the tactical officer, who basically changes a ship that has a red coordinate action to have a white coordinate action. I can tell you for a fact that engine upgrade is no longer available to go on this ship because it doesn't have boost on the action bar. That's the way they changed it. It doesn't have boost on the action bar, therefore it can't take engine upgrades to give itself a white boost. Next up we've got a Phantom at Initiative 3, the Imdar test pilot. White focus, white evade, white barrel roll, and white cloak. 3 attack, 2 agility, 3 hull, 2 shields. So I think it's gone up by 1 hull. Dial, I'm unfamiliar with Imperials, I'm sorry. So you can look at the dial there, you tell me what new manoeuvres there are there. But all Phantoms come with the ship ability Stygium, however you want to pronounce it, Stygium Array. After you decloak, you may perform an evade action. At the start of the end phase, you may spend 1 evade token to gain 1 cloak token. So basically, as long as you can perform that evade action and decloak, you can then spend the evade token to cloak again at the end of the turn. So Phantoms can just go in and out of being cloaked. Next up we've got the Assault Shuttle Gunboat. The new Squadron Pilot, Initiative 2. I can just see the actions there. Focus, target lock, slam, and a white reload. Health, I believe, is the same. And there is a config slot upgrade there for it, the OS1 Arsenal loadout, which whilst you have exactly 1 disarm token, you can still perform torpedo missile attacks against the targets you have locked. If you do, you cannot spend your lock during the attack. Add torpedo missile slots. Dial, I genuinely don't own this ship. It's one of the only ships I don't own, so you tell me if the dial's changed. Then there's the other config slot for it there. It's basically the 2 titles that we've got in first edition apart from the config slots now. So this is the XG1 assault configuration, which is the one that gives you cannons, which you can perform attacks with whilst you have 1 disarm token, and it adds a cannon slot. A little quick look at a name pilot, Lieutenant Kasabi. Initiative 3. After you gain a disarm token, if you are not stressed, you may gain 1 stress token to remove 1 disarm token. So as long as you can fly him well and keep him pointing at the target, he can stress himself and shoot every single turn while slamming. So he can slam every turn, which gives him the disarm token, take a stress, remove the disarm token, shoot. So that's interesting. Heavy laser cannon. Attack. After the modified attack dice step, change all crits to hits, same as before. 4 attack, but as you can see there, it's limited to the bullseye arc and still range 2 to 3. Countess Ryard in the Defender, Initiative 4. She now does if you would execute a straight maneuver, you may increase the difficulty of the maneuver if you do execute it as a K-turn maneuver instead. So no longer will Countess Ryad be able to do these stupid green K-turns, which you can then push the limit and then green K-turn again. The maneuver's difficulty gets increased. Basically, what a green maneuver would become a white K-turn, and a white maneuver would become a red K-turn. So that makes her a little bit more fair. Then we get to have a look at Darth Vader, the Black Leader, Initiative 6. After you perform an action, you may spend a Force token to perform an action, and it comes with 3 Force tokens. So, the way Darth Vader works, he very well could do 4 actions if he wanted to in a turn. So he could barrel roll, spend a Force token, do a target lock, spend another Force token, do a focus, chain it into the red barrel roll. Force tokens regenerate only 1 per turn though, so he could very well do all of his actions in a turn if he wanted to, but after that he's back down to being limited to 2 actions, because you can only recover 1 a turn. If you want to do an extra action, you spend 1, regain 1, spend 1, regain 1, etc. So he is a very, very strong pilot, but he's still basically the same as it was before. Fire Control System Sensor Slot. While you perform an attack, if you have a lock on the defender, you may re-roll 1 attack die. If you do, you cannot spend your lock during this attack. So Fire Control System no longer regains you a target lock. It's just that if you are locked on an opposing ship using one of your actions, you can re-roll 1 of your die like you do with Predator, and if you do, you can't spend the lock to re-roll any others. So it's a nice little interaction. You could just re-roll 1 dice and then keep the target lock for next turn, where you get the same thing. Or if you say rolled 3 blanks, you've got the choice to spend the target lock and re-roll all 3. So that's giving you more interesting options. And then also we get to look at advanced sensors. After you reveal your dial, you may perform 1 action. If you do, you cannot perform another action during your activation. So no longer can advanced sensors allow you to do an action into another action. You're only allowed to do 1. So it's weaker, but you can still, before you move, do your barrel roll to move into a better position before you move. So it's still useful, it's just weaker than it was before. Echo. I apologise. Echo in the Phantom as the Slippery Trickster, Initiative 4. While you decloak, you must use the 2 bank template instead of the 2 straight. Same as before. Grand Inquisitor in the Advanced V1, Initiative 5. Whilst you defend at attack range 1, you may spend 1 Force token to prevent the range 1 bonus. While you perform an attack against the defender at attack range 2 to 3, you may spend 1 Force token to apply the range 1 bonus. So he can now defend himself at range 1 and also still have a range 1 shot at range 2 to 3. He just has to spend his Force tokens, of which he comes with 2. Then Grand Inquisitor also comes as a crew card now. I really like this crew card. After an enemy ship at range 0 to 2 reveals its dial, you may spend 1 Force token to perform 1 white action on your action bar, treating that action as red. So you can say something moved before you, and you've set your dial. You obviously know where you're going, and the enemy ship goes slightly in a different place than you expected. Grand Inquisitor crew allows the ship that he's on to perform, say, a barrel or boost to reposition yourself, and then when you move, you'll be hopefully in a better position. But it is a red action, so it will stress you, and you won't be able to do an action when you've moved unless your dial has been set to blue. So it could be quite an interesting crew card to have. And that is it. The next picture is Scum. So this is a very slightly shorter video. I won't spend ages saying goodbye, so the next video will be the Scum unboxing. I'll start editing that straight away. So I'll see you in the Scum episode and on the Facebook page. Bye, guys.